Welcome back, everybody, to the Vermouth Society live streams. This is our second live stream for Del Professore Vermouth with the living legend, Leonardo Leuci.
Too much.
Yeah, today, Leonardo, you're going to be taking us on a bit of a journey, telling us the story of how your hunt for some of the forgotten classics and some of the history of bartending techniques eventually led you to kind of bringing those old techniques and bartenders from around the world to Italy, and then through that to the creation of Del Professore Vermouth. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm getting very excited about it.
So the story started in 2009, because I was back in Italy after a couple of years in the Caribbean. Working in
a couple of years in the Caribbean.
Yeah,
you've seen the Cocktail movie, and they went to the Caribbean
absolutely.
In the movie. You were like, these are the boxes I need to tick to become world-class bartender.
Yeah. I was working on the Highland, Turks and Caicos, and a lot of fun. But I want to go back to Italy, and I met two old friends. Two bartenders I was working with at the end of the 90s, beginning of 2000. Roberto Artuzio, a great bartender. He was working at Sketch, also in London at that time, very good bar. And Antonio Parlapiano, real legend, guys that really have worked in the top bars in Rome for decades. So
had they both gone out and left Rome, seen other parts of the world and come
absolutely.
back?
Yeah. Also Alessandro, our third partner, was working in New York and around.
Nice.
So essentially, we met for a beer in a bar, and I know the owner of this place. It was a very, very nice girl, and this girl come to us with drinking a beer and say "Oh, Leo, can you please? I want to sell the bar. Can you help me selling if you heard somebody?" And Roberto just say "Oh, we buy it."
Wait, this is the first time you caught up for a beer?
Yeah. To do what? Essentially, we want to start something in Italy, and we started with Jerry Thomas project. Inviting bartenders from all around the world, or to show Italian bartenders something was happening in the rest of the globe.
Yeah,
but not in Italy yet.
I think people today take for granted the impact of guest shifts. It wasn't always the case. There weren't always guest shifts, people coming from overseas and sharing the way they do things. So yeah, it would have been a big impact, right?
I remember that what the problem in Italy was that there was two different school, classic IBA style bartenders or flair bartenders or this kind of bartenders. But all around the world something was happening, there was this comeback of real classic drinks. People was inspired by Jerry Thomas, Harry Johnson, William Smith. Books were coming. But immediately was the situation was very stuck. Nothing was changing. So we decided before to start to invite these people, David Wundrich, Beach Boomberry, and bartenders Marian, Alex, Cretena.
Yeah, nice.
We want to show the people what was happening all around the world. And after we decided that night that we need a bar, also to show to the people that you can do something different on an Italian market.
Yeah.
And so with no money, because we didn't, with no money,
your friends sound so much fun.
But because they're funny guys. Yeah, because the problem today, there's investors, people that invest in bars. We only have some money in the pockets, and okay, we have to open the bar. We have this money. It's enough? No. So we start to paint everything to build our bar.
That's the best way.
And essentially, Jerry Thomas started as a lab for bartenders. We opened at the time was opening at 1 or 2 in the night. So the bars was closing, and all the bartenders was arriving to Jerry Thomas to try something.
Okay, so the bar is opening at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in
Yes.
the night.
Yeah, it was just for bartenders the first year.
Wow.
So like essentially, what was the fun things? Oh, I was in Holland and I found 2 bottles of Geneva. Okay, so all the bartenders meet there and today we try this recipe from Jerry Thomas book. Today we try this recipe from Harry Johnson book. Oh, there's Imbibe books. Try to, to recreate this recipe. Try to understand what was the mixology that at that time, the pre-prohibition time. And this was very, I think, interesting for bartenders. They start to see a different point of view and understand that classic cocktails was not the cocktail on the just the cocktail on the IBA list that are very good because they create a standard, but there was something more. And so essentially we start to be a place where all the bartenders from Rome and not only from Rome start to meet and
I think if I lived close enough to be able to go and hang out at the Jerry Thomas project at that time, if I'd heard about it, I'd probably on my night off go out for a few drinks and wait until the 1 o'clock when it opened.
Yeah, well, it was interesting. A lot of people, and after we understand that really taking inspiration from these great bartenders from all times, really understand the work of Jerry Thomas, all the concepts he introduced to the bar, for example, the first cocktail recipe, but also the first bottle cocktail recipe.
Yeah.
To let people understand that, we have to be fast sometimes.
Yeah.
You need to bottle cocktail that now is common things, but can you imagine that?
Well, there was also a time when we started to see those bottled cocktails coming out and people thought it was brand new.
Yeah.
And it was only the people that had read a lot of the old books that knew that this is not new. This has been happening a long time.
Yeah. I think a lot of old stuff, was kind of bringing back to people and say, oh, this is my things. Now it's Jerry Thomas.
Yeah. I've seen that.
I've seen that somewhere. So was a very interesting time. And after the second year, we decided to start to be open for regular consumer. Also because we was doing another job at the same time. So working during the day till 2 o'clock in other bars, and after open Jerry Thomas.
Wow.
And it was fun. There was a lot of colleagues that say, oh, don't worry, give me the key. I go there, I clean. So when you arrive, the bar is ready. And it was very nice. It was very nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It also a testament to the passion that Italian bartenders have. It doesn't matter where they are. They will turn up to trainings. They're really passionate about their crafts. Yeah, it's a career,
Yeah.
That to after you finished a long shift.
Yeah.
To go and kind of come together, not being paid to learn.
But also it's fun because that time really we have money issues because you open a bar, you spend all your money. For example, we don't have an ice machine.
Yeah.
So there was bartender bringing
ice.
Oh,
that's so good.
And was amazing. And
that must have been such a special time.
Yeah, and I think that we create a good group of people that till now still very very good friends.
Wow.
And also I remember connecting with other cities, people from Milan, from Naples start to come to Rome, and it was amazing. And the good things was we really want to do classic drinks, pre-prohibition drinks in a good way. And this was really difficult because it needs a very big research about ingredients, about techniques. You know better than me that when you want to recreate a punch, for example, and you want it to taste good, you need to take really care about what kind of rum are you using. So you have to use a certain kind of rum that give you the structure of the punch, or the punch is always weak and it's not interesting.
And if your goal is to experience what was the flavor of that punch of that time, you can't just throw a rum in there. You have to find out what was the style of the rum, how was it being produced, because it might have changed over the time, right?
Yes.
So you're learning around the topic that you're choosing to
Yeah.
research.
And also like our idea was, okay, we have to recreate that style of drink, and we want to be really close to the original one. So like was not simple. We have to understand what the ingredients was at that time. So for example, we understand that rum was a totally different thing. Whiskey was a totally different thing.
Yeah, very different.
I always like try to explain to people that when you use a blended scotch today for a drink, for an old classic, you have to think that almost all the blended scotch was a little bit peated.
Yeah.
So like because like a Hyla whiskey was used to be mixed in the blend. So like for example, when you do a Rob Roy, the really interesting things about the Roy is the contrast between the sweetness and the smokiness.
Yeah.
This was create like a very interesting Rob Roy, not just like substituting like the American whiskey, the rye whiskey, the bourbon.
It makes it distinctly different to a Manhattan.
Absolutely.
Distinctly different to a Harvard. They're very different flavor profiles.
So like this was the work we was doing, like trying to, and it was not simple because in Italy a lot of things was not available. So I remember, for example, taking a flight, going to Amsterdam, buy 12 bottles of Geneva, and take the flight back.
Oh wow!
Yeah, just because
you wanted the Geneva and you couldn't import
Geneva,
it.
and we can find that. You can find some, I don't know, like a Steinegger bottle, in some pub, and but it was not good for us. So like we have done a lot of these crazy things, like to go around smuggled bottles. As to friends that was working with I don't know, like as a hostess or like higher plane pilots.
Yeah,
we have this kind of friends say, bring me a bottle of these, because the idea was we want to be authentic, and so the recipe have to be authentic. And we was lucky because this input that this kind of renaissance of classic cocktail gave to the market, just like was really captured by companies, and they started to bring back a lot of interesting things. 100% agave tequila, rye whiskey.
Oh, because of you guys? Because you were asking
not because
for
of us, because globally there was a big demand for these
yeah,
stuff.
there was a desire. Yeah.
Now you can find a lot of rye whiskey, but like
I know. Yeah.
there was nothing.
I remember when the only thing I could get was Old Potrero rye. That was the only thing I could get, and it was difficult to get.
Very
It
difficult.
was very difficult.
We had a little bit of old, for example.
Yeah.
But some people say, oh, just use Canadians. No, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Please.
Oh, I did a training once at a hotel and nearly got fired because the food and beverage director said that two things he was upset about. That I taught the guys that tequila was not made from cactus, when in fact it was made from cactus. And that Canadian Club was not 100% rye. He was like, Canadian Club is 100% rye. And I was like, it's a mixed edition, different mash bills, buddy. And he was like, admit that it's 100% rye or I'm kicking you out. And I was like, it's not.
And so like one moment it started to be really interesting because a lot of products was arriving on the market, good mezcal and good whiskeys, blah, blah. But everything was, play the craft game, not vermouth.
Yeah, okay.
That was a problem. But that was a problem of quality of the vermouth. There was quality vermouth on the market. There was a problem of style. And because researching about the vermouth, we understand that the vermouth that was, for example, exported in US, 1838, the beginning of the export of vermouth in US, the vermouth was so different in everything. Like for example, also in color.
Yeah.
And so, for example, like imagine if you have if you see the recipe of the first martini cocktail or Martinez cocktail, and you have gin, Italian vermouth, and bitters, and Curacao, Maraschino, blah blah blah, and you say like, okay, it's simple to make. Take London Dry, vermouth classic vermouth, a little bit of bitters, maraschino, curacao, whatever you want. You taste it and say, it's something like, hey, it's a good drink, but why everybody was so crazy for this? And after we understand, for example, you need Geneva, or you need Holland-style American gin.
Yeah.
Totally different things. And we also understand that the vermouth was different.
Yeah.
Was more smooth, was not red at that time. And so essentially we start to think about, okay, we think we have to create our own vermouth. And we started to do it in the basement of Jerry Thomas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Antonio and Roberto, they was really involved in this herbalist course. So they started to do all the infusion to create the first recipes. And that was good. And one moment we understand, like, okay, I think we can try to have this style of vermouth produced from a distillery or something.
Yeah, so go to someone who can scale it.
Absolutely, a little bit. And this was very difficult. Very difficult, because at that time, now it's very easy. You go to a producer, you say, he makes me 1,000 bottles. And, oh, yeah, no problem. But at that time, everybody slapped the door on my face. No, we can't help you. No, it's too small, like production. We don't do this kind of things, blah, blah, blah. And we was really sad. We say, oh my God, we really need this style of vermouth.
Why is everyone so mean?
Yeah, why? And after I always think, like, because we were in Piedmont and we are from Rome. So that was probably something like that. No, but like the reality was that really was difficult for these people to do such a small production, for people that nobody knows, blah, blah. After we found a very nice producer, he was very small, very artisanal. He was producing some liquors and amaros, in the area. And we presented to him our project, and he said, okay, guys, I can help you. Like, we try, and we started little by little, making a lot of mistakes, buying all the recipe of vermouth we can find everywhere, visiting.
When you say buying all the recipes of vermouth you could find everywhere, like you were going to extinct vermouth and saying, hey, your family used to make this.
Yeah, also, but you also find the recipe or old recipe books from old
cookbooks and things like that,
cookbooks, liquors books from the past. So doing our research, we understand that the style we want to create is what we call the classical. I think we will taste it later. And so, we were really lucky and happy because, the distillery want to help us. Mm-hmm. But we were really happy when, for example, we tried the Martinez, and we understand this is the Martinez we want. You have this malted taste, and we have this sweetness in contrast of the vermouth, not too bitter, very aromatic. And this was something for me was, I don't think that a lot of people that home in a bar have done this kind of journey.
I think if there was a way you could do a degree in bartending, you would have to do that kind of thing. Go and spend some time at a distillery, go and see how vermouth is made from scratch, so you have a full understanding. It would open a lot of people's eyes, I think. Did you ever, at this time you're making the vermouth, were you making your own bitters and making your own other ingredients?
It was the, I call it homemade craze.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Everybody have to be made homemade, like syrups and bitters. But after we understand that, sometimes you really don't need. You just need to be a little bit smarter, For example, for the bitters, I remember we created this bitter that was called abbozzo bitter. There was the Abbot's bitter, it was the original one,
abbozzo.
And we create abbozzo. That is a way in Rome we used to say it's difficult to explain, but it was our version of the Abbot's bitter.
It's MacGyver.
Abbott's. But and after we understand that you don't need it, because you want to personalize, you want to be crafted, but sometimes it's too much, and we understand to be focused. on other things, like service, hospitality, blah blah. Doing our classic drink with a little touch that we call the Jerry Thomas touch, and that's it. And also for the vermouth, we really understand the potential of bringing back a real artisanal like product, because in the market there was a lot of nice and very interesting vermouth, but there was not really a 100% artisanal product.
Yeah.
Starting from the raw material, so like selecting herbs, spice, fruits, working these raw materials into the distillery, and do all the process till the bottling in a very
nice.
small craft distillery. Was very interesting.
And
very
also
nice.
picking the wines as well.
Absolutely, wine was for us like was a battle, because if you talk with like some distillers, they say to you, "But wine is not important in vermouth." But we was thinking like, no, we think it's important, because in the past, wine was defining the quality of the vermouth. High quality wines, high quality vermouth. This was like a kind of rules.
It's like saying that an engine is not important in a beautiful car. If you're taking a photo of the car, great. But if you're actually driving the car,
Yeah.
you need that engine.
Yeah, but like it's not simple to let people understand the importance of vermouth. And I remember that we're very proud when people start, for example, to do brand call on a Negroni. Stopping to ask for the gin and start to ask for the vermouth.
Wow.
And I was really proud about that. So,
that must have been a big
can I have
moment.
the Professore Americano? Can I have the Professore Manhattan? And for me was really, oh my God, like we are doing something, like people understand something. Because our style of vermouth was really totally different from other vermouth. Our Classico is really something that was unique for a long time. After was also copied a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But like, and also you think that we started with that before to go to the Rosso. For a couple of years, we only had the Classico.
Because I think I arrived to this a lot later.
Because we want to be focusing the first Italian vermouth. Like we don't care about colors, blah blah blah. The style was the most important things.
The
and
style when in the era of Jerry Thomas, in the era of pre-prohibition, when someone said Italian vermouth,
yes,
that is the recipe you were looking for, rather than red, white, dry,
rosé. and yeah, this was the idea. The idea was to recreate a classic that was almost forgotten.
So what was it? You've got these bartenders together. They're all working together to kind of restore some of the forgotten heritage of bartending, to learn the old recipes, the old styles. What was it that made you land on vermouth so specifically?
Yeah, I told you.
Because you said you did bitters and there was all sorts of different things. But was it because of the impact that it had when you tasted it?
Because it's actually like the style of the vermouth we found today, like on the market now. Today there's a lot of vermouth, but that time, like 15 years ago, was a style that really didn't match with the style of drinks we want to create.
Okay.
For example, this extreme bitterness of some vermouth was not present. I was reading tons of recipes, and no one was so bitter or with a lot of bitterness. So in my mind, you see, the vermouth was totally different, and this is why we decided we can find very good rye, we can find all the bourbon we need, we can find 100% tequila, agave tequila, we can find good mezcal, we have all the liquors, but for the vermouth, if we want to keep doing our job, if Jerry Thomas want to be a place where you can drink the real reproduction of 80/80 recipe, we need a different style of vermouth.
Okay, so it was about keeping it real.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Trying to keep
Very
it real.
good.
But also about the color, for example.
Yeah, you mentioned the color a couple
because
of
the
times.
color is important, because for example, the idea you have of a Manhattan.
Yeah, it's brown.
It's brown.
Oh, it's brown, kind of ruby brown.
Almost red today,
Yeah.
because like there's a lot of vermouth that has this deep
Getting more and more red.
black color. But if you think about the color of a whiskey at that time, I don't think that I don't think that whiskey that was used for daily, pouring was so dark.
No, it would have been. I would assume it would have been a kind of straw color.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also different filtration methods for whiskey that were being used that aren't used anymore. You know, like egg.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Did you ever see a whiskey that's been filtered through egg? Like, the egg strips so much from it. It's kind of clean again.
And the vermouth was not red, was this golden color.
Okay.
So I always say like, older bartenders, a bartender from that time was very smart, because I can't imagine Eric Johnson put a cherry in a Manhattan and you can't see the cherry.
Can't see the cherry.
So like he also, this is like
that's a strong point. That's a very strong point. I never thought of that.
I was thinking a bit like like Woodrich at that time about these kind of things, and he told me probably yes, because like we can see red vermouth in US just the beginning of 1900.
Yeah. Wow. You just changed my whole mindset on the Manhattan. Oh, it's not going to be the same ever again.
There's modern Manhattan. This is the good things about cocktails. You can play with the.
So you had the Jerry Thomas project running.
Yeah.
You start producing the vermouth. Mm-hmm. What happens next?
Okay. Now, after we
am I jumping in the wrong direction?
We understand the potential and we want to start to sell it.
Yeah.
And this happened in very funny way. So like we was in Paris presenting the bar. It was 2012, and at the time we was producing a little bit of bottles just for friends and some local distributors that want to play with us, but was very, very, very rustic bottle.
Yeah.
If you see the label, our first label, oh my God, horrible. Printed with a printer.
Yeah.
So like
on sticker paper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So like we were in Paris presenting like the Jerry Thomas project. Remember Cocktail and Spirit. Thierry invited us.
The best.
Very, very nice. So we was presenting this. It was like Jerry Thomas, the homemade project. So we asked painting the walls and and after we presented the vermouth, and it was the guys from. Like La Maison de Whiskey and the Nectar at the time that tasted and say, oh, it's good. They say, want to buy some of those bottles. We don't have bottles. We have probably, I don't know, like 30 bottles, 36 bottles. They say, we can make an order. They say, yeah, write to me, speak with my commercial manager. There was no commercial manager.
Okay. That's so good.
It was essentially me speaking in French.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then we got the first order, and we start to play with them. And after now, the distributor start to be interested, and little by little, also the vermouth fever starts. Distributors start to look for different brands, and we were lucky because we were one of the first brand that start to do something new, you can say.
Well, you could say you were lucky, or you could say that you recognized there was nothing of that type at the time and it needed to happen.
Lucky,
like you took a risk.
Lucky?
Yeah. Paris, that's interesting that you say that it's one of your first orders. Was it a big order from La Maison de Whiskey?
It was quite big for us.
Yeah, okay.
So we was producing really couple of 100 bottles, and the order was quite big, and we were so impressed, and I called the distiller and say, dude, you have to start work on this. Please.
Exactly. Well, you forget. I remember. Would it been 2010, 2011? La Maison de Whiskey in Paris. They had all those small bars popping up that were amazing, really passionate bartenders opening their own places, and the big distributors in France at the time would only sell them something if they bought a case of 24, whereas La Maison de Whiskey would deliver like a bottle of vermouth at a time. So it was not only were you bringing it in with the right people to a market in Paris in particular,
but also interesting things for us was about the French market, where there's people in France go to spirit shop buy a bottle and bring it at home because they drink at home. They
Yeah.
still have this culture to have a lot of spirit at home, to have the aperitif at home. They drink pastis, they drink vermouth, they drink sherry. French I like this kind of thing
Yeah.
also at home. So like, lucky was lucky to start with a big distribution, and lucky also to that people like it, that style of vermouth. It was not simple to find something that you can drink neat as wine. Most of the vermouth at the time was like want to be a cocktail ingredient.
Yeah, or it was super sweet. Like I remember when the Carpano Antica formula came on the scene. It was when you put it in something, you could. That's all you could taste at the time. It was really
It's,
intense.
our idea from the beginning was vermouth is a wine. We want that people drink it like that, and after, if it's good, neat, probably will be very good in a drink.
Mm-hmm.
So this was our philosophy. This is why we really want to take care about the wine that was used, because it have to be a high quality wine from the beginning. Vermouth is a wine. It's a luxury wine. This was the idea.
So you took your kind of bartending background of, instead of just putting together a cocktail and making the sum of its parts taste a certain way, you were putting together a cocktail using the best individual ingredients you could get, and then you took that with you into the vermouth.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Also because the fact that the big producers don't want to produce our vermouth, let us understand that we really have to go basic for a very artisanal approach. This was very very important for us.
And which cocktails did you land on when you started? You've got the vermouth. You start bringing the cocktails the vermouth out to the rest of the world. You start making cocktails for people. Because I know, I worked with brands a lot. There's always a hero cocktail.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's hero drinks that you're making all the time because you can't carry all the ingredients with you everywhere. Which cocktails did you land on and as your regular cocktails to make people? And after you answer that, I want to know which ones moved into, where did you move when you moved into modern mixology? Because obviously people took on modern takes of cocktails with it.
I think that Martinez was our flagship drinks, our hero drink, because the fact that we were very into the Geneva, we understand you have to have a lot of Geneva in your bar if you want to be a pre-prohibition style bar.
Yep.
And I think till today we have the biggest Geneva collection in the world. So
really?
Yeah, we have something like 300 different Geneva.
Wow.
Yeah, we have worked also with Jerry Thomas project with the Skinner Museum of Geneva for several years. We were the guys that was going to Holland to do masterclass about Geneva, and it was very fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And was that based, the whole Geneva thing, was that based on how many Geneva drinks appear in Jerry Thomas's books?
Yeah, because the problem of reading an old book is that you have to understand the context, and the context is very important, because if you want to recreate the drink in the right way, you have to know what was the ingredients. So if you make a Jerry Thomas drinks or Eric Johnson drink or William Smith drinks, you have to know what was the old Tom, what was the gin, you have to know what kind of bitter they was using, the style of the bitters. So you have to know this little detail if you really want to do a good job. So Geneva was very important for us, and Martinez was the perfect drink to show that the godfather of martinis, you can say, was a totally different drink. It was made with a certain style of vermouth and Geneva.
Yeah.
And people say, oh my God, I was doing Martinez, but it tastes totally different. And this happened also with the martini, because the first martinis always was with Italian vermouth, and this was the style of the Italian vermouth it was using.
Yeah.
So like this was our job. This was Jerry Thomas' project, like trying to do a different work. And after that, we played a lot with the vermouth cocktail, because a vermouth cocktail, you know, is, we can say, like the first Americano.
Yeah.
And after is what evolved in the Negroni. So for us, vermouth cocktail is very, very important drink. So I think Martinez and vermouth cocktail was two of the drinks we worked a lot.
Were you using the vermouth cocktail? Were you using gum arabique in it? Like, yeah. So you were going as deep as you could in every single ingredient.
Yes.
And this, what was it about Jerry Thomas's kind of style, his books, that inspired you the most?
Well, like first things, we discovered a lot of categories that you never approached.
Yeah, drinks families.
Bishops, Negus, Sangaris, you know, this kind of things was disappeared. So like you come to our bar and you can find 3-4 different punches.
Yeah.
You can find very, very classic cocktails. So for example, gin cocktail, whiskey cocktail, not old-fashioned, whiskey cocktail, and like Japanese cocktail, you know, like
nice.
drinks was, you know, like when you want to try Japanese cocktail, people were saying that's Midori inside. I said no, it's different kind of.
I love that.
But you know, like this was like the Jerry Thomas work.
Yeah. Nice.
And after we started to play, there was a moment we go crazy. We started to play with really funky, homemade recipe. We want to put on the menu the Alamagosloom. So you have to recreate the capillaire. You want all this kind of things. But it was very funny time. Yeah,
I had a drink order once working at Milk and Honey. Someone came in and ordered a Blue Blazer, a Tom and Jerry, a Ramos Gin Fizz, and the business at the same time, and it was just an impossible. Especially they weren't on the menu. You know, the Ramos Gin Fizz and the Tom and Jerry were not on the menu, and you need to make a batter.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. So
it was just too much.
Prepare. We had Tom and Jerry for a long time from the menu. Ramos Gin Fizz also. Julep was a disaster.
Why?
Because we was the first bar to do, you know, these I can say like Victorian style, Baroque style julep, you know. So like a julep cup with all the ice around, with all the, you know, the fruit on top, you know, like the orange, raspberry, blah blah blah. So it takes something like 3-4 minutes to do a julep. And our drinks was quite cheap, like for all the, you know, like effort, like it was and so everybody started to order julep. So 10 julep.
Oh, I'll have one of those. They look good.
15 julep. And after, like, we decided, okay, we raise the price.
Yeah.
You know, like,
we're not doing this.
Perfect.
We're not doing this.
We go 10 to 15. And when we raised the price, like people start to say, oh, it's more expensive. Probably it's better.
Yeah.
So, what the fuck, you know, like, so after we have to create a different, like a shortcut to make juleps, you know, like, and after we introduced, for example, we put on the menu a caballito, very funny drinks. It's a tiki drinks. It's a tropical drinks. Essentially, it's a mojito.
Yeah.
With a shot of vermouth added.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's recipe for 1930, 90 something.
I've never heard of that.
It's very interesting. Like there's a recipe on Bichunberry book, and we was really interested to mix this culture of tropical drinks and vermouth together.
It's not something you think of natively. Like you don't immediately think of vermouth in tropical drinks.
Yeah, and that is like, for example, if people want to be inspired from somebody that was using vermouth in a different way, they have to look to the Pichin book, El Barman Galante from 1950s, Argentinian bartender. Super interesting book because he was using vermouth in a very different way, adding tropical juices, tropical fruit.
When was this?
1950.
Okay.
Yeah, in Argentina. Very interesting book. You find a lot of tropical drinks with vermouth inside. very different compared to what was happening in.
I'm going to write a note here, like
What's
hit him
happening
up for the book.
in Europe or in US, where like the vermouth was used essentially for classic like.
Yeah, it's for me. My introduction to vermouth was always that it was kind of brown and down. It was stirred drinks. It would go in with whiskey, in with gin, and that's kind of where it lived.
Yeah.
And Negronis, you know. And back in the day, the biggest thing for me was going into a bar and I want a Negroni.
Mm.
Where are they keeping their vermouth? And then you see it. This much is left. There's no lid on it, and it's against the window. And how much vermouth have you? Have we got another bottle? No. Okay, I'll have a beer, thanks. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
I'm now very interested in tasting this. Can we do a little tasting?
Oh yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't know where we're at with time, but
I don't know. We have time, I think.
we'll do it. Start it in the little. Can I pour? That's all right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Ready? Just get the audio.
Thank you. So as I told you before, like also last time when we had like when people get vermouth, normally don't do this because you're not expecting to have nothing interesting, you know, when
Okay.
you vermouth the nose. This is why when we start to produce this vermouth, according to classic recipes, we decide to bring back muscat wine. Muscat wine is a perfect base for a vermouth because you have these 3D floral notes, almost tropical, you know, like
smells
ripe
amazing.
pineapple, peach, apricot, you know, like a typical muscat flavor. And after you have the acidity that you need to build a good spiced wine.
It smells like so ripe. Like,
Yeah. You know, ripe peach, apricot, you know,
peach,
a hint of banana, you know, like it's very Jamaican
And
rum.
cinnamon. I'm getting a lot of
Yeah.
cinnamon. Is there cinnamon? There's cinnamon
A
in there,
little
right?
bit of cinnamon, yeah. There's a lot of flowers in it, like chamomile, you know.
Yeah, that just as soon as you said it, I got it.
And after when you drink it, you have these. I don't know if I say well in English, but this correspondence. I don't know, like the nose is exactly like what you're expecting from the taste, you know.
The
The
snozberries
sweet-
taste
yeah.
like snozberries.
The sweetness, the fruitiness.
So this is the style of vermouth that would have been used in the
Absolutely.
early Manhattans.
If you take a 1907 book from a Strucki,
Mhm.
and Strucki give you a perfect picture of what Vermouth di Torino was till the beginning of 1900, and it describes exactly this style of vermouth, from the color to the taste. This was the style. It can be a little bit more bitter or a little bit less bitter because, you know, every producer was personalizing the production based on what they want to be. But essentially, the style of vermouth was this.
So this isn't in the UK.
Not yet. Because,
It's not in the UK yet.
very small production, and I'm trying to bring back this to UK.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And where is it? You can get it in Italy. You can get it
You can get it in Italy, probably in other 5-6 countries.
5 or 6 countries.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But also,
You don't need to take this home, do you?
no, but also like speaking
It's
technically.
delicious.
Speaking technically, what's the problem? For example, when you make a Manhattan and you use a very aged whiskey, that the tannins and the bitterness create this kind of too much woody flavor.
A perfect storm of astringency as well. Like
Absolutely.
it's like dries your mouth out too much.
This is good because it will balance
Yeah.
this kind of. So you can have a very complex, you know, rye whiskey, hold rye whiskey, without having these, you know, extra woody sensation that sometimes is too much. Normally,
gonna have to try that now.
when you do with a classic red, Yeah, it's not easy. It's not simple. There's a lot of unbalanced like Manhattan sometimes.
So I'm going to check. Do we have questions outside?
I don't know.
It's very small writing. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out later.
Mhm.
That is absolutely delicious, man. Thank you so much. And can I ask very quickly
Yep.
to pour a little bit on the Rosso and do a comparison?
Yes, absolutely.
Like, because obviously there's going to be bartenders tuned into this, right? And if they didn't know already, it'd be great to ask you if you've got a couple of, let's say, I'm going to make a Negroni,
Yeah.
right? I'm guessing we'd go this.
You can, I always say you can use both.
Yeah.
You just will have a different style of Negroni. You will have a very smooth Negroni, more on the sweet side with the first one. You can have a more classic Negroni with the second one. Like our philosophy is that the vermouth have to be very well balanced. We don't like extreme like extreme bitterness, extreme sweetness. The balance is good because you have to think that vermouth can be used for drinks, but also you drink it neat.
Yeah.
Sometimes some vermouth are very good mixed, but after when you drink it neat, there's something that is always too much. This is very well balanced. The difference, like for example, here there's a lot of flowers, a lot of citrus. The wine is the Muscat blend of Muscat wine with other white wine from Piedmont. Here you have also like cinchona bark, rhubarb, a little bit more of like what we call sweet woods, like cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla.
I was just gonna say, like, if I was to say to someone at home, we don't have smell-o-vision just yet, to compare the two as far as the flavor profile, this one, it feels like spring and autumn, could be summer, putting it in kind of fruity, uplifting floral drinks. And this one feels like you're heading into winter,
In both you have mint, but it works a different way. Here give you this hint of balsamic touch, little bit of balsamic touch. Here give you freshness, and what I'm really proud about is like when you put the nose inside, you don't smell these burnt notes of caramel, because for the color we use a blend of also red wine. So to get the color,
it's coming from wine.
Also from the wine, so you don't have this deep red.
So it's kind of grape skins as opposed to caramel. Can I ask, do you think, you had styles of vermouth, like you mentioned Americano earlier on, like bitter styles of vermouth a long time ago. And these were the styles of vermouth that were popular, transported outside of Piemonte and outside of Italy and used in the cocktails we know of that era. Do you think maybe back in the day there was like different types of vermouth, like the much more bitter vermouth, Americano style, there was this style, there was a few other styles, and as the bigger producers kind of let go of some of the styles, they just kind of merged the flavors together to get a more bitter profile?
Okay, for me, it's two different things. Like when there was just one style, essentially Italian vermouth, everybody was producing his own vermouth. Cinzano was producing one style of vermouth, blah blah blah. Every producer have a style. Somebody was more on the bitter side, somebody on the sweet side, somebody was using more, I don't know, like different style of spices. Some brand was using a different style of wine, for example, to give, to create difference. After you start to have categories, but this is something modern.
Okay.
So you start to have like Chinato, you start to have for example, Barolo wine base, you start to have vanilla vermouth, garum vermouth, Americano style vermouth. So you start to have a lot of different style of vermouth because the demand was huge.
Yeah.
So people was drinking a lot of vermouth if you compare with today. And so essentially, producers understand that they have to eat heavy
Yes,
categories
yeah.
of drinkers. So we have, for example, Campari was producing different style of
Yep.
vermouth, you know, like because this was the trend at the time, you know, like.
We got just a question coming
Mhm.
from the feed. I think we could do some Q&As because it's almost been an hour already, I think.
Yep.
So this is from Emily. What is the shelf life for the Classico since they did not have much refrigeration back then?
Oh,
If we-
like back
if
then,
you-
I don't know. I know that
Today's. Imagine you don't have refrigeration.
we have
You're in a hut on an island somewhere.
two good things. We decided we're the first vermouth to bring back 18 ABV for
Mhm.
an Italian vermouth. Nobody was doing these. Most of the vermouth you can find in 2009, 2006 was 14.5 or 16 maximum.
Mhm.
As an artisanal vermouth, we understand the importance to raise a little bit more the ABV, also to have a better shelf life. And second things, you know, like a little bit more alcohol, sugar contents give you a certain stability.
Mhm.
So I don't know what was happening in the past. What I can tell you, for example, that they exported vermouth was fortified a little bit more because they have to travel. But this vermouth, keep it in the refrigerator, can stay for months.
Mhm.
Like really,
It won't last that long
No.
anyway, right?
no, I hope so. For months. And in the past, I don't know. But I think that consumption was really
Yeah,
fast. You know,
yeah.
like they have not a lot of cocktail bars that do fancy things.
And people weren't buying a bottle of vermouth to let it sit there on the
Absolutely.
shelf. You know, there was no Instagram to take
No,
photos of your
also,
bottles of vermouth.
You know, there was not a lot of stuff to drink. You know, like.
I thought you were about
like
to say
today.
not a lot of stuff to do. Make kids, go to work, eat food, drink vermouth, wake up the next morning.
So like, but today also like technology help you.
Mhm.
We use old style recipe, but modern technology. So like you know, like we have wine that guarantee you that you have a longer shelf life. You can keep the bottle, you know, on the shelf for some days. I always suggest put it in the fridge. It's not a big deal. You know?
Yeah, yeah. If you and is that the reason for the dark glass as well?
Yeah.
Does that
absolutely.
help it stop UV
Yeah,
coming
the
through?
light. Yeah, the light. Yeah, yeah.
Super
Yeah.
cool.
It's still an artisanal product, so it's very important also to protect it.
To protect it, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, well, look, I don't want to steal too much of your time. I can see there's another question there, but we'll figure it out. We'll add it to next time. I want to thank you so much for coming back
Oh,
and,
thank you.
doing
Thank you.
this. And I want to say to everyone at home, tune in again tomorrow because we're going to have another one of these sessions with 1757 Vermouth di Torino and Giorgio Bargiani, of all people. It's
The
going to be a lot of
great.
fun. The great, the legendary Giorgio Bargiani. So 2 o'clock tomorrow on both the Campari Academy YouTube as well as the Bartenders Broadcast Network. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you then. Cheers.
Bye bye.
Thank you again.
We drink.
Yeah. Now we taste. We're not drinking, we're learning.